Hey Mo,
Hey, Ricky.
the doctor is in.
We sure are. And it is finally November. We
Oh
made
my
it
God, thank you,
through.
God.
We made it through October, made it through Touchtober, made it through Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Breast Cancer Action Month, Domestic Violence Month, all the causes.
Even
And here we
Cyber
are.
Month, we did a cyber show. We did
We
everything in
did.
October, right?
We did everything and then some, and there's still so much more work to do. But before we talk about more work, we have to talk about the psychological implications and the stress of cancer, right? On not just patients, on caregivers, on providers, on loved ones, on our entire care team, and what we can do to begin to alleviate some of this stress because it's an important topic that never gets enough attention and rarely
It,
gets enough resources.
it
When you
doesn't.
look at
And
mm-hmm,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
No, it's also Caregivers Month this month.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so, I think when we talk today, you'll find that this is where we're talking about self-care. But
Yep.
I did see a fact. I'm just kind of digging in some research, an article in the New York Times that experts suggest that persistent fear like cancer, can fester and become a chronic anxiety or stress
Oh
disease,
yeah. Oh
which
yeah.
can potentially affect your immune system and leave you even more vulnerable to disease. So you've already got cancer, you're now scared to death, you got a lot of stress from the cancer, and you're almost, preventing yourself from getting better and having all the medications work because you've hurt your immune system with stress.
Well, the data shows that, the impact of stress on the body, like you said, it really can't be understated. I'm seeing patients who have come in after a year of being quarantined at home and all the stresses and things
Right.
associated with their cancer, or with not knowing if they had a cancer, people with lumps, people with symptoms, lots of things. Everything is worse as a result of COVID. And when you look at the data surrounding breast cancer patients in particular, 40% of breast cancer patients have emotional distress at some point. They have anxiety at some point. They have depression at some point, but less than maybe 10% of them actually get referred for any services. And they all get the distress thermometer. Remember that stupid thermometer? How happy are you? And
Mhm.
you're happy or sad or on a
Like the
scale of 1 to
pain
10,
wheel.
right? Yeah. And what do we do with that thermometer, right? What do we do with that distress? And this is the call to action. This is the conversation. This is the place to start talking about what do we do with the impact of stress and cancer on our lives. And the people we have here with us are amazing people who are going
Yeah.
to shed light on this and give us all some tools. So you want to introduce or let them introduce themselves?
Yeah, let them introduce, but I've spent really the last year with these amazing women, and Z and Karen have been on before, but you get to meet Laura today, and they have been we've been working together on this project that we're going to tell you all about that I have been dying to bring to the public. It's kind of been a secret that we couldn't really talk about, but this is like to me a life-saving product that they have that we've been working on, and these are three of my favorite women in the world. They are just beautiful, beautiful spirits working really hard, and I'll let them introduce themselves. So our Z, our crazy Z from Oakland. She brings it, all truth, no filter.
See how you doing?
Girl, I'm probably gonna be on my best behavior today because I use the product. But uh, but I'm blessed and I'm just honored and privileged once again to be in the presence of all of you. I absolutely love you guys, and this is a joyful part of my day. So yeah,
Yeah,
doing good.
yeah.
Give us
And
a
my
real quick
TNBC breasty
recap,
Karen. Oh, go ahead.
Z, of where you are and what you do, real quick for
Yeah.
people who might be
Oh,
watching for
I'm
the first
sorry.
time.
My name is Jeanette Harper. Everyone just calls me Z. And I am a breast cancer navigator at a safety net integrated hospital system here in Oakland, California. I've been doing this work for 9 years. And I'm very much dedicated to the empowerment of our patients. So, yeah.
All the way. And my TNBC breasty Karen.
Hey everybody. Hi Dr. Mo. Hey Ricky. Hey Z. It's so good to be
Hey.
here with you guys today. My name is Karen Peterson. I'm from Harlem, New York City. I'm the founder and chief patient advocate of Karen's Club. It's a platform that educates and informs patients of color around clinical trials, because a clinical trial saved my life after I was diagnosed with stage 4 triple negative breast cancer in 2017. Glad to be here.
Bless you, bless you.
Glad to have you here. And who else do we have with us? We have Laura for the first time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. I wish my camera angle were better, but motherhood and other duties call. So thanks for bearing with me. I'm Laura Shavery. I lead patient engagement at Blue Note Therapeutics, which I'm excited to talk with you about today, and excited to hear Z and Karen and Ricky's experiences as well. So grateful to all three of them for advising us on how to deliver a product that really meets patients' needs first and foremost. And just so grateful for all of you. And thanks so much for having me. Oh, I guess I should mention, I am an LCSW by training. Originally spent many years in the medical setting, working directly with people with cancer, before pivoting a bit and spending over 20 years in the biotech space, delivering patient services and working on broad patient programs and services on the part of those companies, as well as founding my own mission-driven startup called Calliope. But super excited to have been at Blue Note for 2 years now.
So tell us what we're talking about today. We keep hinting at it. People are like, what are you figuring out? What are you talking
What is
about?
Blue Note? Right.
All right. So Blue Note is creating products to which are prescription-only apps geared towards treating cancer-related distress, which sometimes exhibits itself as anxiety and depression. And as Dr. Mo stated, most patients experience some level of cancer-related distress. The challenge is that very few patients ultimately will get the help that they absolutely deserve in managing that distress. And so the products we're creating can be accessible to all patients, regardless of where they're treated. And it's a self-directed care, lives on a person's phone, something that they can access and reach at any moment, where doing the exercises or diving into the content would be helpful to them. And the beauty of these interventions that we've digitized is that the skills that are learned, the lessons and exercises that are done lead to an enduring benefit. So it's not just about meditating in the moment to get some stress relief, but also about acquiring skills that will help you into survivorship, into, unfortunately, the next phase, which many people with cancer experience, is fear of recurrence. So, being diagnosed is very stressful. Being treated is very stressful. Moving into survivorship is stressful. But once you've rung that bell, unfortunately, the stress comes back after that at times, the anxiety related to those scans. And these skills that are proven interventions, now digitized by us, will help people manage even into their survivorship through that anxiety. So really couldn't be more excited about what we've created, and the beauty of what we've created. The most important part to me is that we've created these products with input from the very beginning, input from our patient advisors. We have a very diverse set of patient advisors, various tumor types, as well as age range, region in the country, Spanish speakers. So it's a huge objective of ours to make sure that what we're creating is for the population of the United States, most of whom have never had access to quality psycho-oncology care. So I'm very proud of the work of the three of you and also the many other advisors that you've all worked side by side with. And just so excited to be talking about that work with all of you today.
Great. So Laura, no, we're like all over each other today. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was going to say, can you explain self-directed care? So am I going to be my own psychiatrist? That's kind of scary. Like, what is that?
So thinking about maybe all of our stereotypes about psychiatric care or therapy, it's usually delivered face-to-face, either one-on-one or in a group setting. It's in these pandemic times often delivered via telehealth experience, but still, one human to another human, which can be a beautiful thing. Although it can be really tricky to find the right human that you really gel with. And it can be even more tricky to find a human who actually specializes in caring for people who are going through a cancer experience. And yet that specialization is very critical and very important. Psycho-oncologists are not very numerous. So there's an absolute supply and demand problem. But they are critical people to the cancer care, or should be. But there can be 6-month waiting lists or longer. And like I've said, many clinics don't have access to psycho-oncologists. So what we've done is we've taken the highly researched and proven interventions developed by institutions like Memorial Sloan Kettering, Mass General, University of Miami, and created a digital version. So digital means we take the beauty of these manualized interventions and make them, in some cases, we gamify them. In some cases, we use a lot of animation for some videos of instruction, but also relaxation exercises, a variety of those. So we still are delivering the interventions as developed in these key institutions and proven, but rather than face-to-face, it's being delivered on your phone, where you're, following the regimen to do the same lessons that therapist would have been doing with you or a group had you been face-to-face. And then one of the ways that digital products can actually go above and beyond what one can experience in a traditional setting is we're creating group elements in many of our products. So you can connect with someone who is similar to you in one way or another. Maybe it's a tumor type similarity, but maybe it's the fact that, you're both mothers of young children. You connect on some level in what we call a group feed, and the learnings are reinforced. That happens in a traditional group format, but again, the beauty of the digital world is that you can have that conversation with multiple people like you would in a group, but do it at a time which really works well for you, where you don't have to go try and fight for parking, where you don't have to be dealing with the dinner hour while you're needing to be in your group and other duties are calling. It can all be done on your time, your schedule, and according to your needs. We do. I don't know if time will allow, but we certainly have an example at some point that we'd be happy to share in case my descriptions aren't super clear.
I want to back up a little bit, though, and I want to talk about what are some of these unique needs of cancer patients and some of the stress and the anxiety surrounding the diagnosis and the journey. And so I want to hear from Karen first to talk a little bit about that and what are some of those unmet needs or some of those feelings. And then actually, Z, maybe you can talk about what you're seeing in terms of how people are coping and the need for resources like this, because I'm sure you're seeing the full spectrum of things. But Karen, let's get your personal experience first surrounding, I guess, even just legitimizing the fact that a cancer diagnosis is traumatic.
Thank you. It's traumatic and it's normal. It's something that is not odd, that actually happens, and it should, cancer and mental health should definitely be a part of the treatment process. And a lot of times it's often thought of afterwards when you walk into the office of the doctor and the doctor is, talking about your diagnosis and your treatment options. The process of being able to digest that, because it's so traumatic and it's so emotional, the fact that often mental health is not a part of the process is, it's just very, I feel like it was disrespectful. I felt like I can remember being, in the room, and I didn't understand what was going on. I felt I was under duress. I felt like I was under attack. And the fact that mental health was not offered to me, I had to go out and seek it and incorporate it into the plan, is something that I felt like should have happened as soon as I walked in the door. Like, it should have been, okay, you're going to talk to the oncologist, you're going to have the surgeon, you're going to have a radiologist. Oh, and you have a mental health partner also if you need it. Just like they talked about the nutritionist. I just felt like it wasn't a part of the plan, and it should have been, and I had to go out and seek it. And luckily I did, because it was critical. I mean, literally, I can remember feeling like my brain was under a vice, and I was constantly dealing with the emotions of, okay, I've got to go in for a scan. Okay, I've got to go in for surgery. Okay, I've got to go in for chemo. Okay, my hair is gone. My nails have turned black. Okay, I have a pulmonary embolism. Every time something happened to me, I had to recover from that. And I felt like I was being chipped away and chipped away and chipped away. And thank goodness I had a mental health partner in my early stage who helped me get through that. So it was very important.
Wow. Well, being that I work in a safety net environment, a lot of it is resources, or the lack thereof, to be more specific. There is also the issue of earned mistrust. There's the issue of cultural competence, and there's the issue of representation. So there's a myriad of intersectionality when you're talking about how do we help cancer patients in general, but specifically when it comes to mental health. And one thing that I want to put up front that I appreciate about this product, there's no judgment. And a lot of times when you're dealing with patients that come from socioeconomic backgrounds that are near indigence, or they are people of color who haven't had a great experience, they may be people who don't trust the care they're getting just for the cancer, let alone what's happening with them mentally. So that's not going to be something that they're going to clamor for. Amen. So there are a lot of variables depending upon the setting that you're in.
Right.
And one of the greatest fears is judgment. You're poor, you're sick, you may not have, your education may be at a level where you don't understand all of the medical jargon used to explain something to you. So you already feel insecure and inadequate oftentimes in that setting. So everything is already compounded. And I would say that a lot of the patients are afraid of being judged, further judged. So they're already stressed. This product, it takes care of the judgment. It also takes care of the access. And I feel like it's more it's a tool of empowerment more than anything, because it is whatever the patient needs. If the patient is looking for assistance with mental health, maybe that's their term, mental wellness, wholeness. It can be whatever it is that you need it to be. So finally being in a position where they not only have control, but they have options, and they are in a position to determine for themselves what that product or this product best represents. It goes a long way, even with us as providers, in establishing trust, because we're not introduced to some boutique product that really means nothing and provides nothing. So it is excellent for I think everyone involved. So I would just say that this product, I really believe, will go a long way in terms of helping to establish equity for systems that aren't resourced to really be able to provide the full complement of what the patient needs.
I hear you when you say equity, Z, because it oftentimes is an afterthought when you come to
Hmm.
mental health. It's always a case by case, or does the clinic have the finances and the budget to actually put it in the system to actually, okay, we can afford to have a support group. We can afford to have a licensed clinical social worker or a psychologist on site. And it should be mandatory because it comes with the journey. The stress comes with the journey. I was reading an article just yesterday that I think it was in nature.com, and they said breast cancer patients, 39% of us have non-specific stress, 20% have depression, 31 have
Yep.
PTSD, and
Yep.
34% have anxiety. It comes with the territory, and the fact that it's not acknowledged as soon as you come in the door is just really odd to me. It's really strange.
Yeah. Well, it's not part of a standard of care, and it should be. Period.
Well,
Across the
let
board.
me interject there and say that what is part of the standard of care is to inquire, right, about psychosocial distress. So for accreditation, we're required to ask about it.
Mhm.
But what are the resources for when we do
Hmm.
ask, right? We give every patient a thermometer and we ask about their distress at their first visit, at their first chemo, at their first radiation. We got all these thermometers floating around. But I can speak personally from my own practice, and that the psycho-oncologist that we have and the services, the psychotherapist that we have who specializes in oncology, she's booked. She's booked out beyond booked.
Yeah.
Right. And now we're trying to find virtual resources. And so this is a thing that's kind of right up our alley, because when we say, yes, we offer psychosocial support, what does that actually mean? We give them a number and then they call and they get on a wait list. Well, what are you supposed to do while you're managing your stress, your anxiety, your cancer, your kids, your chemo, your finances, your life, right? Like all these things. And so, while there is a standard, the way we execute that standard, I think, Z, we really should look at it. We should be challenging cancer
Hmm.
programs to look at
Hmm.
how they address that standard of
Yeah.
asking about psychosocial distressors.
Right. And I misspoke when I said there's no standard, but what I'm saying is that, to me, there are standards and there are standards. If the standard is to pose the question, well, for my patients, that's not a standard, that's an inquiry. So, it have to be very
Come on.
specific and intentional. Okay, so, I'm always going to bring that intentionality.
Right.
From our perspective, my patient's perspective, that's not a standard of care. You asked me, okay, and so now where's the care part? So that's what I mean to say. I mean, we have a few organizations that are wonderful partners, but that's our option as an institution to partner. But the patient may not be comfortable. They may not want to partner. They may say, you know what? I want to keep it all in-house. I don't want to talk to a person that's not integral to the system. So there are so many various ways in which we can look at that. And again, I come back to whole person care. Whole person care means a whole person complement of services,
Mhm.
internally and externally.
Excellent. Can I add something here too? So when I got diagnosed, it was part of the package. But for me, I didn't believe in stress. I had to get there. Like I had to be told you're going to be stressed. And the first
And
thing
how
people
many
do,
Black women are like you, though, Ricky, right?
I know, right? It's like, I don't have time for stress. What are you talking about? What am I going to not feed the kid, not go to work? What am I going to do? And I was still dealing with like, you're going to die is what I was told. Right. So when they said, do you want to see a psychiatrist? I was like, well, is that going to help my breast cancer? Like I couldn't make the connection between seeing a psychiatrist and having breast cancer. Like, is that going to help me with chemo? Like, what's the point? Like, help me out. Like, how do I get to the fact? I mean, I quickly learned that after a chemo, that yeah, I do need some help. but I mean, I didn't make the connection instantly, and it was one of the best things, one of the best parts of the treatment when I got there.
Believe it or not, it actually does. There are therapeutic benefits to providing psychosocial
Yeah.
support, for
Mhm.
people during their treatment. There's better compliance with it. They're better tolerating of the side effects. They use their resources better. They feel more connected. They are more likely to complete their therapy. So there is a benefit there
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
we don't really tout enough, right? We don't talk about that enough. That's
Right.
data that should be collected and celebrated, because that's something we actually can do, right? There's so many things we can't control, but there is something
Right.
that we can do. So
Right.
so let me get to the question of how does this all work? Whether it's a physician wanting to refer a patient, whether it's a patient or a breastie who's watching right now, who's trying to figure out, like, you know what, I'm going through it. I'm through to through. Where
Right.
do I go for these resources? How can I be down? How can I be down?
Laura. Mhm.
So in today's environment, the first thing I would say is for patients listening right now, for patients in our communities. First of all, just honor and acknowledge that it is normal to be experiencing these levels of distress, and it's also extremely reasonable to expect that one be given resources to assist. It may not feel natural for everyone to ask their oncologist for those resources.
Mhm.
So, it may be about asking the infusion nurse, or hopefully there's a social worker in the office. If there isn't, a nurse navigator, seek that person who is connected to resources which may be outside of the cancer clinic, may be through these community partnerships like what Z is alluding to. But in the present, I'm not going to lie, it's not easy. First of all, as Z has explained, many of us come with our own beliefs around mental health and psychiatric illness, and may come with a lot of barriers to even suggesting that one needs these kinds of resources. There may be a distrust of those in the clinic, in the medical profession, that gets in the way of that conversation. So if you can get past those hurdles, there's unfortunately also the hurdles of the type of insurance. And if you're trying to see a therapist that's covered by your insurance, but we're trying now to talk about resources. So what I will say is there are resources such as Cancer Support Community, they're My Lifeline resource. So telephonic resources through some of our fabulous patient advocacy organizations are a good place to start as well. Support groups often are peer support groups, which can be very helpful as well. They may be an entry point into accessing proven interventions through a psycho-oncologist, but standalone peer support is really important as well. For exposure experience with products like what Blue Note is creating, we do have several clinical trials underway. So I would encourage everyone to check out our website, go to clinicaltrials.gov. Our trials are listed there. Be in touch with us because we would love to have you participate in our trials, or post-marketing studies that are underway, or even have you as one of our advisors, so that you can help us create these amazing things, but also benefit from participating as a prototype tester or advisor as well.
Should we look at the product? Can we show people what it looks like? I think it's like it's so we're kind of dancing around it, but it's really like the coolest thing ever.
It
And
is.
what the best part about it is it lives on my phone, which is a body part. So I have total control of my destiny, right? And I wear it on my neck, you guys who know me. So can we have our friend Mark in the background? He's going to give us a little demo.
Hey, Ricky, can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, that's great. Well, thanks so much for asking me to share a little bit about Attune. So this is Attune. It's our first product, and as you can see, it's a little bit of a journey from where the patient starts through 10 little mini sessions, and all of these sessions are what the patient user would be receiving if they were in a group setting or a one-on-one setting with a psycho-oncologist. And what the creators of this intervention, so this intervention really is, what would happen if you went to see a psycho-oncologist and she sat down with you and said, okay, patient Ricky or patient Karen, I'm gonna go through these 10 sessions with you over the next couple months, and we're gonna talk about some things, but we're gonna learn some things, and at the end of it, you're going to be better able to deal with this journey. So you can see all of the content. So in the introduction that you see there, you see these 9 different little episodes of content. And then, so from the introduction, we go to introducing stress and awareness, and then some automatic thoughts. Sorry about that. Some automatic thoughts, and but you see the modifying self-talk. This is learning how to hear what you say to yourself, and some of that negative self-talk that a lot of cancer patients with cancer end up speaking to themselves, those negative things. And maybe just on that point, Karen, does that sound familiar at all, that idea of negative self-talk?
Yeah, it does. And I can remember when I used the product, and I can remember thinking there was an issue that I was having at one point, and I was thinking, oh, let me just incorporate some of the things that I've learned doing the exercises and how I can change my thought process. And then when I change my thought process, then the feelings that I have of stress and anxiety sort of lessen, because I was self-aware enough to be able to understand that the only thing I had control over was my thought process. So
yeah, thanks for that. That recognition of you telling yourself kind of rough things that maybe you don't need to leads then into coping and recognizing what you can and cannot do. Sometimes there's problems to be solved, and sometimes there's just things you need to say, even though you can't really control any bit of it. And one of the things I really like about this product is this idea of you have social support in your network, but you may not be engaging it in the right way. Let me just pause. Z, I think this one might resonate with you in your clinic in Oakland.
Oh yeah, definitely. Quite frankly, the entirety of the product, but all of this really resonates. And the thing that I'm so appreciative of is that it elevates the patient to beyond being a cancer patient. It looks at them as a whole person, which I feel is so important, because oftentimes this isn't how the patient is seen. We treat the cancer, but we don't know how to care for the patient. That's always my thing. And I feel like this actually brings the two together as it should be. And it also is a tool of empowerment, because all of this is transferable. It's not, you can use it specifically for cancer, but then you can also use it for other things. So overall, I see it as a incredible tool of empowerment and enlightenment, because sometimes we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah, and I think when I think about the anger management chapter and recognizing when that anger starts to build and before it takes over you and you feel that kind of you're in that rage mode, you can say to yourself, okay, hang on. I see what's coming. And then I think that, the assertiveness training, especially for patients who, like we talked about before, who may be on the other end of that power scale and need to, maybe that this assertiveness training can help them speak and ask for those things that Laura had just mentioned. Like, hey, I understand psycho-oncology is a thing. I need some resources to help. And then finally, we wrap up. Maybe Ricky, if I've got time, I'll just introduce our patient friends here.
I want people to think it's not a book that you read with those chapters. These are like people interacting with you.
So what we did is when we sat down with the folks that invented this intervention, they said, hey, every group, there's these different kinds of patients.
Mhm.
So we created these 5 fictional characters, and Karen and Z and Ricky, had an opportunity to see these sketches in early days, but each of them have a different background, and we wanted to try to give patients an opportunity to hear different perspectives on what's going on. So maybe I'll just listen to Miss Christine here for 1 second. And just let me know, y'all, if you can hear the audio, because sometimes Zoom can be weird.
Okay.
My name is Christine. I'm 57. I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer 3.5 months ago. I also had breast cancer 15 years ago, a lumpectomy, and 5 years of tamoxifen. I'm married. I manage the day-to-day at the real estate business that I own with my wife, Jenny. I'm not sure what I hope to learn here. It's a busy time, but I've been told to see it as part of my treatment alongside chemo, so it's been added to the list. What else? I'm also overseeing my son's college applications. My daughter, she glided through the process. I think she's even more organized than I am. But Alex, he can't sort his socks. I've arranged to interview a potential college counselor right after this meeting. Jenny thinks we should hire someone to take over managing the office for now, but I find the best way to cope with a full inbox is to just keep going. Sitting around feeling sorry for myself isn't going to help anything.
Welcome, Christine. Your time management skills will definitely become an asset as we begin to work with the various relaxation exercises and other assignments. These skills will also help you find the time to schedule some downtime so you can continue to take care of your business, but also make some time to take care of yourself.
So Ricky, maybe I'll pause there and see if y'all have any questions, or if we want to transition to another topic.
So I think it gives you an example of, the conversations you can have. And like, I automatically related to Christine because, her cancer came back.
Mhm.
Like she had breast cancer and it came back, and she has a life. I always say there's a whole life attached to a tumor.
Mhm.
It's a whole life. It's the family. It's everybody gets the cancer, right? And so I felt that attune actually helped me. It showed me that I wasn't alone in dealing with life. So not only were you dealing with disease, but you're dealing with taking your kid to the doctor and having, to do a Zoom in your car. You're dealing with, whatever. Your life doesn't stop, and it doesn't. I mean, all the things that were kind of stressing out before are on top of the stress of cancer. So I felt that it's a really realistic place to be, that I could go there and relate to people having similar situations, similar issues, similar conversations. So I love that about it. And I love that it ends at the beach.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartely. Oftentimes, the challenges are so diverse. It could be a single mother that has children that has to work at night, but her chemo's in the daytime. She doesn't know how she's going to be feeling afterwards, but she doesn't have an employer that will allow her time off. It's just such a variance of things. And any place where there is that empathy, because I think what we haven't used talking about Blue Note's product is the word empathy. And oftentimes, that's often what a patient will respond to initially is that. And that's what those vignettes offer to me. They say, I hear you. I've seen this. I'm going to put out these examples and these guides for the mother or the father or the family who's has multitasking beyond what we can recognize, trying to deal with the business, dealing with the child, so that's very powerful. And I think that will complement the anger mode of the product, because a lot of people, they're angry because this is not the only thing, but the latest thing to have happened in their life. And they're faced again in the same situation where they don't have any real control or any real assurance that everything is going to be okay.
See, I think that they're saying again, because it's something that resonates so deeply with me, is that These are people who already have a zillion things going on in life, right? They already have whatever's happening in their marriage, whether they're happy or not, with their families, with their kids, with the job they may or may not like, with the church they may or may not, love and go to. And now this, with the body that they don't necessarily like or love. And now this. And Mark, what I love that you said is that it helps to stop the constant replay of self-harm, right? Because I tell patients all the time, what's the record that's playing? What shadow are you living in? And what's the soundtrack that's playing in the background when you walk by a mirror and you look at yourself and you say, oh, look at my whatever, or look at these bags, or like we pick ourselves apart, and then you throw cancer in the mix. And so I wish would you just say that again, so people feel heard and felt and seen, because that I felt it, and I don't even have cancer, but I know people are watching this who are feeling this thing. So if you would just please.
Yeah, Dr. Mo, I think what we've learned through this process is that the voices that you have or you place in your head, it's that story you tell yourself can be so destructive. What Attune helps you do is recognize those thoughts as you're forming them, and you and allows you to like catch them in midair and be like, okay, like I know I'm on a walk right now, and it's going to be a long one, but it doesn't mean it's every minute of it has to be terrible, and allowing patients to recognize those feelings before they manifest into like terrible feelings and then terrible thoughts. It's really important. So we're really thankful that folks like Karen and Ricky and Z have been along this path with us to make sure we get it right. Because there's plenty of opportunities to get it wrong, but it was only with their help that we were able to hopefully get it as right as we could on this version, and then continue to improve it. So thanks for giving me that opportunity to reiterate that point.
And it helps providers too, big time.
Yeah.
Z, can you call it out? Give us some of the thoughts and some of the things that you've heard people say, because I feel like people still need to. You're going to see in the chat, they're going to be like, yes, oh, I had that thought last week. What have you heard from patients about some of the challenges that they're facing?
Well, some of the patients is like, damn, I was already going through it. I didn't know how I was going to make it before. Now what am I supposed to do? I can't pay my bills now. I'm struggling. How am I supposed to live off a disability? My employer, they don't give us any time now to, crying if you take a day off. My employer is not going to give me X, Y, and it's the anger. And it's the anger at another setback, because I think oftentimes we forget that this is about a patient's. Their dreams are part of their journey, and oftentimes their dreams are derailed. Translation, their future. So now they have their present, which was already hard, and now their future just got harder or more unpredictable. And so there's this emotional vortex of sorts, because at the same time you're trying to gather your bearings while everything is going around, and it's very difficult. And I'm gonna just be honest, that's where a lot of my anger comes from, because I'm looking at it and you're in a position where you're supposed to help and you're trying to figure out how.
Yeah.
So the product is good for I would say anyone, because when you care, another person's pain matters, and you take it on, whether you mean to or not. And when you have a journey, I believe in trying to accompany my patients on their journey to the best of my ability. So if you're going to use this product, then I'm going to use this product, because I need to know that we walk in lockstep. I'm not going to be over here talking about Freud and some big grand type of diagnosis, and you here. So to me, this is about a partnership as much as it is about a product. And what I love about it is that it allows us to be on the same page. I'm not trying to help them understand something. We're going through this together. They're helping me understand. We're going through it together. And I don't want to overlook that benefit, because oftentimes, even with a patient that might be undergoing, you know, some mental wellness or health assistance, oftentimes if it's outside of the system that's providing them with the cancer treatments, they still feel a certain sense of being alone, because we don't know, we still don't know exactly what that patient is going through. So it's like they constantly have to reintroduce that pain or that trauma that they just overcame with the therapy, because now they're trying to tell us how they feel. So now they set back. And I feel like if I'm holding your hand, we're going forward together. And I just really want to bring that home and say that this is one of the few products that allows us to do that, to actually really be a part of that journey for as much as our patient will allow, without having to constantly revisit what they just passed from, if that makes any sense.
And there are resources for caregivers. That makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
You know, and it is National Caregivers Month, right? So people who are on this journey trying to understand what their loved ones feel and what they're going through, because, you know, I can't tell you the number of patients I see who don't want to tell anybody. They don't tell anybody they're going through this journey. They're afraid that their family members won't understand how they feel. They're afraid they're going to be a burden to their family members, or they're afraid that the stress of it is more stress than they're willing to inflict on another person, and that they're not going to be understood. So this is something where even caregivers and loved ones and family members can partner, and it's a tool. They can have that conversation too.
Yeah.
And I think what Z, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what Z is speaking to also is that our products are can be used by those in navigator roles or therapist roles, even to reinforce a conversation that may have been had with that patient around problem-focused solutions versus emotion-focused solutions, which is another element of the content. And then the patient or client goes home with this in their pocket to understand that better. And so the next time they feel like, well, I can't burden my family, and that thought's going through their head. You know, I can't possibly worry my children, worry my partner. I need to be strong. That they now hear, well, it doesn't have to mean that I'm going to burden my family or partner, but what I need right now is some emotional support that for whatever reason I'm not, you know, wanting to go to my partner to get. And so then it validates their need for support, and the beauty of, in those situations, calling that other patient they met at the support group, or connecting with someone through a network, an online network where they've connected with someone. That some problems require an emotion focused solution. Some problems require solution, you know, fixes. And knowing the difference is really important. If you try and apply an emotion-based solution to a problem that needs a solution, you're, you know, going to feel like you're beating your head up against the wall, and vice versa. So it is a lot of training your mind to seek out the right resource for the right type of situation or feeling.
Yeah.
I would add to that. I'd add to that, you know, most of my sort of traumas were in the middle of the night. You know, I couldn't sleep, or I'd wake up at 4 a.m. and, you know, with bone pain or something. And what are you going to do in the middle of the night? You know, try to get back to sleep, right? So to me, this is such a great thing, because I don't have to call a doctor. I don't have to make an appointment. I don't have to do any work to get the help that I need. And so when I start talking to the voices in my head, which we all do, you know, like I can say, oh, wow, I have this app. I can turn it on. I can do something and calm myself down right now in the moment, whether I'm in the car, in my house, in my bed, wherever. And that's what I love about it. I think it just it just gives you something that you have control over. Like we don't have any control over anything, especially when I'm feeling shaky and maybe I don't want to talk about it or I don't have anyone to talk about it with. It's right here in my hand. And that's what
And
I
I
think
would
is such a
definitely
great
agree,
thing.
Ricky. I definitely think that I like the fact that the product is on demand.
Right.
And when you need it and no one else is around and you can't make a call or you can't make an appointment, it's there for you and it's at your control and you can
Yeah.
use it when you need it. And I think that's one of the best aspects. So I definitely
Yeah.
agree with you with that.
Yeah. I just, I think that we have yet to discover, we're continually discovering the the benefits of this product because they're so far reaching compared to a lot of what I've been made aware of. For example, I did a chronic disease self-management program where it was like, train the trainer, and it was modeling behavior. Well, being aware of where my patient is, it allows me to model the behavior that will keep them in that place where they need to be. To a large extent, if I know my patient is struggling with, say, anger, and they did up to lesson 3, then I know, but lessons 1, 2, and 3, let me stay in this lane and keep this behavior modeled before them. I can tailor, my own reaction and my own responses. So it almost adds another dimension to the product, and it's just something that I think we all can learn from, and that's what I like. I just see it as empowerment, like more so than
It
anything.
is.
I think
It
the
is
beauty
empowering.
also is the fact that Blue Note recognized that the patient voice is very valuable, and the fact that we were a part of it being built from inception, and it's not preachy and it's not something that's foreign. It's actually, these are scenarios that actual patients have been through and can actually relate to. Just makes sense, and I appreciate that. I appreciate it being part of the process.
Yeah, I feel like you guys heard everything we said, every detail, and played it back to us in a product, update. So, the product was developed by patients like us, and so it's so cool that they heard everything we said, everything, we gave input on, and it was really kind of, I felt like it was a joint effort. It was a total collaboration that you guys were hearing us and listening to us and making changes to even what they look like, how they talk, their voices, even all the little people and everything. I mean, the whole villages that you go through are all like designed by us,
Right.
so it was great.
It was
Super
definitely a
great.
co-design as opposed to just participatory approach.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
thing that I find that is so awesome is that the patients, they actually helm the product.
Yeah.
They're not just this is not in just about responding to. This is about elevating also, and you can see it in the product. And on a personal note, the sincerity and the respect that was afforded us, I feel confident that that's the same thing that's going to be and has been developed and extended to our patients, because that's just it. If you looking kind of, then I'm not fixing to do all of this, and then we wind up introducing a product that is suboptimal to our community. And that's the community of cancer patients, but there's also the communities of color, which are oftentimes so overlooked. And because of the great commitment that went forth in establishing equity and respect throughout this process is the power of the product. That's the power of it. Nobody's left out. Nobody's diminished. There are no judgments. I mean, we haven't reached perfection, but nobody has. But the thing is, that was the goal, to be as perfect as we possibly can be. And I'm so appreciative of that, especially again, when you come from a region where it's so under-resourced. And to know and have the confidence that we're offering something to the patient that respects them, that sees them, that values them, that's everything.
And you're going to walk away and feel good. You're going to
Mhm.
make you feel better. It makes you feel good. You're like, I remember even the very first meditation I did, I was like, wow, I want to do that
Mhm.
again.
That's
Like
the
it makes
best
you,
part, the meditation
Yeah.
for me. The
right,
best
Yeah.
right,
part is the
yeah. If I
meditation
never, who
activities and
sits
the
still? Who
yeah.
sits still? Like I tried meditating before, I can't do it. And this is like, wow, this really made me feel better. Like I want to do this again.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think
So
I was getting hooked though. I kept sitting in my, well, I ain't gonna say I was sitting in my desk. I kept sitting and kept trying to get back in there. It is awesome though. I
it
love
is.
the voices. The
The
voices are
voices are
so calming,
so calming and
so
like have
soothing.
peace come over you. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
great.
that is just so
And
awesome.
yeah, it gave
Awesome
me
voice.
peace, and my peace is non-negotiable. You know how I feel about that, right?
Hmm.
I love
Hmm.
just hearing the patient voices. I thought it was so real and it
Hmm.
came alive because you're right. Prior to the demonstration, I thought it was just sort of a self-directed reading sort of,
Right.
literary resource where you can kind of read or maybe some music and a little guided meditation or something. But there's so much more and it's so interactive.
Hmm.
And I think that, as people begin to use it, the more they use it, the more they will
Right.
find use for it
Hmm.
and find some tools and tips to incorporate into their daily lives to create better balance. And I think that's what is so necessary through this cancer journey because the anxiety will be there, the fear will be there, the voices, they're going to come and they're going to go. But having something at your fingertips that you can call on if you're in your busiest day
Yeah.
or if you're sitting in that infusion chair or if you're doing whatever it is, right? Like you can source this thing and get yourself back to center.
You can.
And that's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
So
blessing.
how do people get it? How can we get it? I can't wait for people to get it. Like, let's.
Yes. Well, first, I just, want to thank you all for talking about the process, and it was an honor to have you all involved and to have you feel the way you do about the process and um, about our efforts to be as true as possible to all of your input and feedback. That means so much, and you know is just everything that Blue Note wanted to be able to do, and what we continue to aspire to do. So thank you for those words.
You.
As far as how to get this product, how to get our products, we are going to meet the FDA standard of efficacy, which means an RCT generating data that would then be submitted to the FDA for a full FDA approval. And that's because we want to make sure that what we're creating actually has that therapeutic benefit at the end of the day. And it's our commitment to patients as well as providers that that we do we have measured outcomes and proven this level of efficacy. That does take time, and really want to encourage as many people as possible who are interested in participating in those trials to get in touch and reach out about them. Because the sooner we can enroll and generate this data, the sooner we can get that approval and make our products more broadly available through kind of the traditional means of, writing a prescription, having patients activate that prescription and have this appear on their phone. So it will be very simple once we achieve those that volume of enrollment that we need for the trial and ultimately submit that data.
So we want to get people to, if you're interested in participating in the trial, you can email, what do we say? What's the email? And we'll put this in the chat.
You could do info at Blue Note, T as in Tom, X as in X-ray.com. Info at BlueNoteTX.com. You can also go to our website at BlueNoteTX.com. And you can also go to clinicaltrials.gov where our trials are listed.
Yeah, but if you guys, I know that the info email address will go to Laura and she'll respond to you in like 2
Yes.
seconds. And
Yes.
if you're interested, you guys, I mean, I really, and I bet you there's some of you that are struggling right now, like waiting for an appointment.
Yeah.
Like waiting, well, you got to wait 2 months, or not being able to get your insurance to cover going to a psychiatrist, right? And trust me, it's awesome. It's really an awesome thing. And we've all done it, and it gives me peace. My favorite thing is it tells me when to go to bed at night, which is really a problem for me. And I love that. I love that beep when I get it at 9 o'clock. So,
I
like
get mine in the morning.
you get yours in the morning. So info@bluenotetx.com. Reach out to Laura and Mark, and thanks for the demo, Mark. And you guys are awesome. And it's a great thing, you guys. Let's get FDA approval, get this to market so more people can have it. But if you want to participate in the trial, and here's an example of a clinical trial that's not drug related, and it's an easy thing, and it's going to benefit you, and it's going to change how you think about things. It's going to change how you think about your cancer, and it's going to help you. It's going to help you. Guarantee it.
Yeah.
Wow. I want to thank you all. Z, it is always a treat and a pleasure and a joy when you get to come and just be real with us and talk about the issues that cancer patients are facing, and caregivers and navigators. And everybody is affected by this, and you bring it with such authenticity. And I thank you, because I know that you brought that same authenticity to this product and to this app and to this group. And that to me is like, that's a mic drop moment right there.
Thank you,
She's a
guys.
mic drop. She's a mic drop.
Yeah.
Sure.
Karen, you are glowing, and you're walking in your purpose, and your voice is so necessary. And I see so many of my patients when I look at you and I listen to you, and I see the promise of where they can get to in their journey. Like wellness isn't a destination. It's not like some stop and you just get off and park your car, right? Like it's this iterative process of trying to be and become and do more and be more authentic and find joy in the midst of all of that cancer plus life plus everything else. Laura, thank you for sharing in the middle of all your family stuff and bringing such information and clarity. And Mark, thank you for being part of this, a huge part of this, and for walking us through it, and for the support that you're offering these patients. Kim, thank you. Ricky, you're living your life's purpose, and it's helping so many, so many people, because the feedback from this, this is something that they say 40% of cancer patients, I would dare say it's more like 80 to 90 to 100% of people are grappling with some psychosocial issues, distress, depression, anxiety, you name it. How can you not? Right?
How can you not? How can you not? And it's okay. It's okay for you to feel that way, but it's also okay for you to fix it yourself. That's what the benefit of this is. You can
take that power back. That's right.
Take the power back. Take your power back, because your peace is non-negotiable.
Wow.
And this team is like amazing. These people are amazing, doing amazing work. So
thank you so much.
We love you guys.
Ricky, Laura, Mark, everyone. Thank you.
I love all you guys.
Thanks,
Such a blessing.
We hope this has been relatable and reliable and real. That's what we set out to do every Wednesday night and some Sundays on Black.org, whatever they give us the platform. And we are so grateful for the platform to bring this to everybody. So we will see you guys on the next episode of The Doctor is In.
The Doctor is In. Breasty love.
Breasty love.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity, y'all. Take care.
There you go. Let's see those cards. Let's see them.
Love you guys.
There it is. Love you guys.
Well, shit, I got arthritis.